Taking care of a nonverbal autistic adult. My son Shelby, he's pretty much atypical autistic. He needs assistance with a lot of different things, but he's also able to do a lot of things independently. But one of the ways that I take advantage of when I'm helping him out, for instance, when I'm washing his hair, I'm also looking for anything unnatural, any type of parasites, dandruff, any type of bumps or anything that might be in his scalp. So that's my opportunity to examine his scalp. And the same thing when bathing him, which he really likes baths. And I use that opportunity to examine him for any type of rash, any type of breakout, any type of parasites or anything like that. And same thing when we do pedicures. When I give him a pedicure, I'm examining his feet, looking to see how his feet look, if there's any type of swelling or rash, fungus, or anything like that. So I take advantage of those things so I can stay on top of his health. And Shelby brushes his own teeth, but occasionally I will brush his teeth, especially if I think he's not doing a real good job that particular week. But for the most part, I brush his teeth at least like twice a week. It's sort of like a spot check. So while I'm brushing his teeth, I'm making sure I'm looking to see if there's any areas, any of his teeth that he's missing on a regular basis, any type of plaque buildup. And I make sure he floss and rinse regularly. He usually does a good job brushing his teeth. He likes to do it in the mirror. He likes to brush his teeth in the mirror. And sometimes we brush our teeth together because then I know that he's mimicking me and he's doing a pretty good job. So we haven't had any problems. Shelby's 27. He has never had any cavities, haven't lost any teeth. And that's because he usually does a good job brushing his teeth. And we also use baking soda at least once a week. As needed, sometimes twice a week. If there's any type of buildup, Shelby has one area in his mouth that he used to miss, and that's like the back of his front teeth, his lower front teeth, and he used to miss those, or didn't brush them very well, and we had to use baking soda. And another thing I like to mention. If you really want to whiten your teeth without any dangerous chemicals or the expense of going to a dentist, just use baking soda. And if you have a more severe problem with plaque, just add some peroxide, baking soda and peroxide. In some toothpaste have those ingredients, but you can just mix some baking soda and peroxide and brush your teeth like that. I wouldn't recommend doing this every day because it could irritate your gums. But when you have an issue with plaque, you can use baking soda and peroxide. I would just say, actually, after 2 or 3 times, and I wouldn't even do it in a row. I would just do it maybe 3 times that particular week. And you will see a tremendous difference with just baking soda and peroxide. Now, also, if you have a severe problem with plaque, you can also use salt, baking soda, peroxide, and salt. I definitely wouldn't do the 3 more than once or twice, only as needed, and I wouldn't do it back to back. But if you want to whiten your teeth and whiten your teeth fast without any kind of harsh chemicals, there you go, baking soda, peroxide, and salt. And I would only use the 3 together maybe once or twice to whiten the teeth. And so with Shelby and his autism, just like a lot of different people with autism, they have different gaps in their abilities. Shelby can do some things very well, and some things he can do, he can't do very well. and some things I don't task him with at all. Shelby also, a lot of things with people with disabilities, they usually be very passive because people tend to overlook them, or people tend to approach them as an authority, and it makes them very passive. And I make sure that I don't do that with Shelby. Shelby and I, we operate more like a partnership, and we kind of keep it fun. Have fun around the house. We have fun on the road, and he also has a little job. He has his chores at home, and he also, when we leave home to pick up supplies, Shelby's in charge of getting the ice and water, collecting ice and water and loading it up in the van. And he enjoys that. I can tell that he receives a sense of pride from that. And also, sometimes family and friends, or care providers, they think that people with different disabilities have no interest in how they dress. But yes, Shelby, he likes to dress well. Here in Texas, during this heat wave, basically we're both just dressed as comfortable as possible and loose as possible. But he get new clothes every 2 or 3 months, and he knows when he's dressed up, and you can tell. Even though he's basically nonverbal, you can tell that it makes him feel good to be dressed up nicely. And so I think a lot of people with different disabilities, or there's such a large spectrum of autism, and with different levels of autism, even though they may not express, even if they are verbal, they may not express how they feel. But if you observe them and you're close to them, you can kind of sense when they have a sense of pride. Shelby takes pride in his job collecting the ice and water. And I give you an example. We were at the ice machine. We have this large ice machine here in Presidio, in the city of Presidio, and a young man had came to help us out. We were loading, I think at the time it was 12 gallons of water and 60 pounds of ice. And I was, Shelby has his money, and Shelby was feeding the ice machine and loading the ice into the van, and the young man came to help us out, and Shelby didn't want him to help us out because that was his job. Shelby is not a fan of people anyway, especially men. Shelby, he tolerates the women a little bit better, but he did not like to be interrupted. He didn't like the young man trying to interrupt him. And people that's familiar with autism, they know that autistic people, they like to do things in order, the same way each and every time. And sometimes they might switch up, but usually they don't switch up well, in Shelby's case, once he established a habit or something that he likes, he does it, he'll do things a certain way for years, and become uncomfortable if you make any changes to it, or something occurs that cause him to have to deviate from the way he usually do it. So we were at the ice machine, and I told the young man, no thank you, but thanks for offering, but my son has it. And so yes, he does take pride in his job, and he does take pride in helping me offload our supplies when we get home. And so with autism also, like I said, he's nonverbal, and a lot of times even verbal people with autism, they do not express their desires very often. So I make sure, because he's a young man, I make sure that he has some recreation, some outlet, some time to himself. We go on road trips. We go to carnivals. We go to movies. We go out to dinner. We have a great time, and we have fun at home as well. We have board games. We have movies. You know, everybody has their own home entertainment system, and so do we. And so it's just to break up the monopoly. You know, people with disabilities. I've seen a lot of people with disabilities, and I worked in a nursing home once, and you know, people get bored even though they can't express themselves or they may not be able to express themselves. They get bored with doing the same thing every day, all day long, and with no change. You know, I think everyone, disability or with disabilities or not, need to have things to do, have a recreational time. They need private time. They you know, need a change of scenery from time to time. And so that's another thing that I try to keep up with Shelby is, you know, keep him from getting bored. In the morning, Shelby has his morning routine is brush your teeth, make your bed, do some exercise, and do some schoolwork. Shelby has graduated from high school and vocational school, but I don't let him go too long without studying, because so he won't forget. A lot of people with autism, they can learn different things, but if they don't practice it on a regular basis, they have a tendency to forget. Because when Shelby was in high school, Shelby only one time Shelby had 3 months summer vacation, and I believe he was in the fourth grade, third or fourth grade at that time. But I realized that he needs to, 3 months is too long for him not to have some studying. So after that, Shelby only had the academy that he graduated from. They had a summer program where you out of school for, I think it was a month. I think they had like a month vacation versus 3 months vacation, and that works for Shelby. And so, and even though most people that have autism, they're not very sociable, but they still enjoy. And I noticed the same thing with Shelby. And when we were around a lot of different autistic people, because when we were staying in Virginia, Hampton, Virginia, they had lots of programs for people with disabilities and lots of social gatherings. And Shelby really enjoyed it, even though he might not interact one-on-one, but he enjoys the atmosphere. The art program in, I believe it was Hampton, Virginia, they had dance night every other Friday. They had movie night every other Friday. And movie nights I really enjoyed because they had hot popcorn and ice cold sodas. They served everyone during the middle of the movie. And dance nights, during dance nights, they alternate. Sometimes they would have a DJ, and sometimes they would have a live band. And so it was a great program. And also, we had swimming, I believe it was every Wednesday. So it was like something to do every week. And it was really fantastic. And even though Shelby and a lot of the other people with disabilities, they might not have socialized, interact one-on-one. A lot of people did. A lot of the people, the residents of the program and the families that came in for the activities, a lot of people, they would interact, and it also included the family. So the person with the disabilities, they also had their family come along with them, and it was a great atmosphere for everyone. And even if they were wheelchair, bound to a wheelchair, they enjoyed the atmosphere and the activities and the attention. And so even if they didn't interact, it was an outlet for them to socialize as well. So I wanted to say, autistic people, try to treat them the same as you would anyone else. I let Shelby do whatever he wants as much as possible. Only time I override something that Shelby wants to do is if it's something that's dangerous or something that's not good for him. But for the most part, I try to just let him do his thing and not be an authority all the time. You know, we operate as friends, and you know, and I help him when he needs it, and when he wants to be left alone, you know, I leave him alone, and I'm just like anyone else. And also, they're very particular about their space. So, like where Shelby and I live, we live in a cabin, and he has his half of the cabin. I have my half of the cabin, and the only time I'm on his half of the cabin is when I'm bringing food or drink, and or cleaning. And other than that, I'm not on his end of the cabin because he doesn't want anyone on his end of the cabin. So, and when I do enter into his space, I do it. You know, I don't just barge in. You know, it's like I walk lightly. You know, I let him know I'm respecting his space. I'm letting him know why I'm there. You know, most of the time he sees the tray with the food on it, and he sees the glass and the ice, you know, with the drinks and things like that, and so he doesn't mind. And I think that's really what keeps Shelby happy and what keeps him calm and comfortable is because I don't intrude upon him. And I think that's the thing with a lot of people with different disabilities. They're so used to the care provider or the whoever it is, that's taking care of them, whether it's in an institution or a home. They're so used to people just barging in and, you know, moving things around. And but my approach is more like permission, and he appreciates that, and I know he appreciates it because he remains relaxed. You know, he's relaxed and he cooperates. You know, he see I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to sit some glasses down or something like that. He helps me out because he's okay with me being in his space. And I think that's really important when you're dealing with people with disabilities because, you know, you don't want to make them feel powerless, and you don't want them to feel like they always dominated by you or someone else. You know, you want them to be their own person as much as possible. Thanks, you too.